Welcome to the What Now podcast. I'm Darryl Elliott, alongside with our family here, Myneca Ojo, Regi McClurkin, and Archbishop Darel Chase. We're here to discuss all the things that matter to all of us and the things that we have to take action on and how we can do better.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. How you doing today?
Oh, hey, how's
Wonderful. How
everyone?
about
Hey,
yourself?
Daryl, hi there, everyone.
Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody.
Good to be seen, not viewed.
You know, it's a fire hose of stuff that goes on, it seems like to me. I think we're just in such a busy news cycle. It's always a thought to us to what we should talk about, and we're still going through this period with this administration and the transition and the uncertainty of the administration. So I do want to pick back up on the thing about tariffs, because last week tariffs were on, this week tariffs are off, and then it just came out yesterday on the Sunday shows. Well, the tariffs are kind of still on, but you know, there's some exemptions maybe, but we're still gonna get it. You know, everybody's still gonna catch this. You know, everybody's gonna still catch these tariffs. So you know. Semiconductors and things like that, we're going to tariff, but you know, consumer computers, maybe. It just seems like that they don't know what they're doing, and the result is a more destabilization. So I did want to talk about that a little bit, because I think a lot of people need to understand what's going on. And another thing I didn't bring up is that the attack on Social Security has increased, and I didn't bring that up in our pre-meeting, but the estimation is that they are going to slash the Social Security force by 90%. And if you have a question, you're going to have to ask it on Elon's X platform, and it's not going to be available to you on the Social Security Administration's website. So put a pin in that. I want to bring it up for a second, but let's get back on this tariffs on, tariffs off. A lot like wax on, wax off. Here we are, everybody. What is your perspective? And really, I'm really interested in hearing you, Myneca, about your perspective concerning this political whirlwind, nonsense, foolishness. What's your thought? I want to
Tsunami.
I know it really truly is outrageous. Most asinine policy I've ever seen. It's as if that we are just throwing something out there just to be throwing something out there and expecting people to come back with a with a compromise of some sort. I believe that's what his long game is. But it doesn't make sense economically.
right.
It makes me feel that he doesn't really believe in who he is supporting as president, and he's not taking into consideration the cost and how it's going to affect the economy in the United States. So one thing I can say, and I think that we may not have been watching long enough, he's made some really tough moves. But if you look at some of the executive orders, they're already getting reversed in the courts. Yes. Even with the tariffs, he's been going back and forth on that. But this is very consistent with how he started. Starting first with TikTok. We're going to cut TikTok off, and then it's going to be snapped off at 5:00. And then the next day, TikTok is back on for another 90 days. And, I'm doing a moratorium type thing,
Right.
So, yes, I'm just very concerned that we're not even following the policy at this point. This is just some maniacal move for power. That's where I am right now, but we're going to be impacted by it.
And what we don't understand right now is that the bond market, I brought this up in our conversation, the bond market is become a little destabilized, and what people don't know, because a lot of people, they don't sit around all day and read economics to the fourth power or anything like that. People are busy trying to, go to work and take care of the things they have. So let me kind of explain it to you all. When the stock market becomes a little destabilized, what happens is that those who are in the stock market start to move towards treasuries. Treasuries meaning currency, the United States dollar, and currencies are considered a safe haven and a safe bet. And when treasuries are bought, that helps uphold the value of our dollar. That also continues to buy us time on our debts. For all you who don't know how this works, well, Japan, one of our biggest bond buyers, they're not buying, folks. They're dumping our stuff. And another thing you need to be concerned about is with this whole tariff thing is Japan and China are meeting. All of those Pacific countries are meeting about maybe setting up their own NAFTA version of NAFTA, what we do here between United States, Mexico, and Canada, and to become less dependent upon the United States. What is that going to mean to you all? Very simple to you and to all of us in the United States is that there are going to be less jobs, there are going to be higher prices, and there are going to and you may find it a little bit difficult in your everyday life because we live in a global economy. Anything on that, Reggie, on your part?
You know what? I'm just totally frustrated and just flabbergasted because the reality is this, alluding to what our dear sister Myneca was saying. The bottom line is this: the man is not interested in governing. The man is not interested in anything other than grifting. Everything about this man is about grifting. He has no clue. I mean, it's like, remember Mad Magazine years ago?
Yep.
We had Mad Magazine, and they used to say who's in charge of the insane asylum. We are truly, like I said, I say it jokingly, but I'm really serious in what I say. We are truly caught up, like I said, in the twilight zone, lost in the outer limits, alluding to those old TV shows. Because here is a guy who has failed. This is what makes me so, I don't like to use the word angry, but I'm so disappointed that over 70 million people really believe someone who, like I said, has bankrupted everything they've ever touched has failed. Everything he's ever touched has failed.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the person they felt was best suited to lead what is supposed to be the leading nation in the world. So the end result is with these tariffs is this: not only are we going to be no jobs, not only are we going to be paying higher prices, but so many people are going to go under. Most Americans, are just a few paychecks from poverty anyway. So we've totally eliminated the middle class. Now we just have the rich, the super rich, and people just trying to hold on in whatever status we are below that. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I was looking at another video how everybody in Canada, every business in Canada, has taken every American product off of their shelves. They are going to show us, like I said, that mess around and find out thing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Canada, I applaud them because all the wines, they've taken that off the shelf. Now it's affecting the toys. It's affecting, and what people don't realize, like they said, the thing about tariffs, look at the automobile industry. They're going to get blown out of the water because there's not one American car on the road now that does not have to get parts from some other country. And the parts, like I said, cross the border 2 or 3 times in the manufacturing of every vehicle. So here we have somebody who is, I'm just so upset. I saw another post. I just would hate to live my life in a way that the entire world would be looking forward to my obituary. And to see that nothing is being done. We do have to give a little credit to the Supreme Court because they did shut him down with the most recent ruling. They, and I'm hoping this is the beginning of their new stance, that because all 9 did vote against him, with this latest, debacle with these tariffs and all this type of thing, and with the immigration of sending people to, it was more so with the ruling on the immigration. And I mean, we are all going to be affected because even if we still have enough resources to keep our head above water, how long can we tread that water? That's the question. And then you take this man who, I mean, every day I'm seeing all these people saying, I'm so sorry I voted. And I just want to strangle him. Here's a man who, instead of joining with families at Dover, Air Force Base to, the return of the 4 soldiers.
Right.
He's golfing. This man
he went golfing. Yeah. For people who don't know about that, is when it's called the dignified transfer. And
the dignified transfer, exactly.
Right. And when a soldier is killed in combat, he or she brought back. It's usually a Dover Air Force Base, and exactly. That's where the families come, and that's where the president always usually goes to greet the families. And it's not always publicized, and it is something that we have great respect for. But he gets
used to,
yeah, and he gets there. He doesn't hardly hang around. Is that what happened? He just kind of
no. He did not even go.
He didn't go. Right.
He refused to go. He said, "I'm going to Florida. I have a golfing event with the Saudi Arabia people." And so
right.
He said, what's his name, Hedgeworth or whatever, the Fox News.
Hexef, yeah.
Right. Here we have a Fox News host who's over all of our military. Now, how do you think those family members feel? Here, their 4 sons are being returned, supposed to be a dignified transfer. And here the president made it clear he was not going. He said it before they even, put him on the plane to come back. He said he had a commitment. I mean, I'm not putting Barack Obama out there. He got out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning to make sure that he made it to Dover when they were transferring, having the dignified. Every other president, no matter what time the plane was getting there, they were there. I mean, so you tie that all in with tariffs. I don't have the answers. I'm just at the point, like I said, that little analogy about, like I said, I've always been taught, you don't wish nothing bad on nobody. But I'm living for the day I can look and see somebody's name in the obituary column. The world is a much better place because it's not going to get no better. It's going to get worse. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the on and off, and the thing about the tariffs, this is the other thing. Let me say this and then I'm done with it. The thing that get me when he did that little flip flop, because he saw that when was it, Wednesday, Thursday? We have 75 countries calling, begging us. And nobody, not one, he couldn't say one country that is called and begged.
He said they were kissing his, you know what?
Exactly. But what happened, all of those people said, well, we're going to show you better than we can tell you. And all of those people, like you said, was the Japanese and the Chinese, they're now discussing setting up their own, system and stuff like that so they can totally bypass us. But all of our allies who've been there for many years now are looking at us as like, are we, much longer can we just keep dealing with this? Because we're going to become so isolated. He's going to tank not only the economy, but like I said, so many people are going to be put underwater. And if the tariffs is just on the surface, superficial narrative that they're giving, but it's hitting Main Street right now. Main Street America is suffering on and like I said, I don't care how much we have saved away and things like that. I believe this man is out to he said it before, he would gladly crash our whole, economy. He doesn't care because all he's trying to do, and add that in the mix. You remember last week how he was laughing about, look how much money they showed him from the billionaires laughing how much they were able to make because when everything, the stocks were crashing and stuff like that, they were able to pick up all those stocks. Now they're getting all that money because, when it went back up to that one day on Friday, when it raised back up. And here we are right again, even today, the stocks are, down in the negative. So I don't know. We just got to hold on. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just saying, Lord, you got the power. So it's okay if his name is called more sooner than later.
I'll be listening for my name. Well, as a manufacturer, I can speak to this issue from a very personal level. Is that we are dealing with a lot of that destabilization here at our company. And I actually am on the phone with our trading partner countries. Often I also deal with the governments of the different countries. And let's just say the conversations are interesting, and I actually have very close friends outside the U.S. And I have we actually manufacture some of our things in China. We manufacture in South Korea, and we do some things through India and the Philippines, and the problem is that it's just like you said about making a car. We make a computer like people make cars. So one thing comes from one country, something comes from another country. We design it, but it being made is actually specialized now. So when we design something and have it made, we call the places, and we have already our partners that will make it and then assemble it, and it really creates a chaotic environment. And I tried to tell someone, you need to understand, I do pay for the tariff first, but the customer's going to pay for it.
Exactly.
And people just don't understand that. And Bishop, you would I would imagine you'd have a certain perspective about this type of behavior from I want to hear what you have to say from the psychological and I would say moral effect on the nation, if you don't mind.
I think one of the first things that we have to do is we have to, as people, we have to pay attention to those countries that would be impacted, which we are doing, most of us. And that is sending a very clear message to this administration. This is why it was on, off. Well, let's wait. Let's rethink this thing, because the final impact is not going to, and I repeat, is not going to damage those other countries. It is going to damage the American people.
Yes.
Now, if we step back and we really take account of what is going on, Madam Mayor said that she believes that this administration has a long-term plan. Maybe. I think that in reality, they're trying to impose as much damage as they can, so they can have another moment, or 2 or 3 or 10 or 20, like they did last week, making millions and billions of dollars. And that's for the upper echelons. You have to understand who he's serving. He's not here to serve the people of America. He's here to serve his constituents who are ultra capitalists like him.
Yeah.
Like he wants to be.
Like he wants to be, yeah, because he's
right.
not there.
So, and then if we really look at having to go to X to ask questions, my question is, where did the power of this United States government go to?
Yes.
And are we so blind as a people that we do not exercise our rights to get these idiots out of office expeditiously?
Yes.
You see,
yes.
A true insurrection, like what happened on January 6th, that somehow everybody got pardoned for, that was an insurrection. You see, and so what we need to do is we need to put pressure on our congressmen and our senators, and we need to let them know, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or in between, that we are, as a people, are not going to stand for this. What they did was they presented a utopian view of their side. Yes. And their side was basically a totally white, capitalistic, we own everything view. The world does not work like that.
And don't mention, and don't forget, white Jesus endorsed it. That's what they.
Well, I mean, first of all, you had to go to white Jesus. But the reality is, until we, as a people, learn how to write that letter, don't go to the top. Go to your congressmen. Go to your senators. They're the ones who make the laws, not the president. And this administration that he's built for the dissimulation, dismantling, and total disregard to the American Constitution, number one.
Yes.
Number two is for the benefit of the people, and that is the whole of the people. If we really look at what's going on today in Congress, we don't have bipartisanism. There is no moral middle of the road. We're either too far left or too far right. And sometimes we, the people, have to slap our leadership. And I do mean slap them.
Yes.
Don't be nice with them. Oh, please, no. You tell them straight out, you're in the seat because we put you there.
Exactly.
Now you either do what we tell you to do, or you'll be out.
Okay? So how do we?
Yes.
So how do we get our government back? I think that's a good question to raise with the. I think that's the conversation within the conversation. Like how can we get our government back when they have set up a system through campaign finance, through lobbying? There are multiple mechanisms that they've created this fortress to and this fence between them and the people. And how do the people penetrate that force? Because if we are a nation of laws, which is yet to be found out now in these coming months, but if we're supposed to be a nation of laws, we're going to have to be able to apply the not only the amount of pressure, but we have to be able to almost break that system to get back our system, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
We are forgetting that it is our God-given right and authority to fight against any tyrannical government.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Our people, because we've been so candy coated by the Democratic Party, we don't like to talk about the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the Second Amendment says something that we are to be armed to fight against a tyrannical government. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Being armed is not necessarily firearms,
Mm-hmm.
but it's having the mental and moral capacity to stand up for that which is right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, the time for protesting, for marching is over.
Mm-hmm.
This younger generation is not here to march or to protest. They're here to tear it up.
Oh, that's right.
And sometimes you got to show somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not inciting violence. I'm just saying you're pushing buttons that you have no idea that exist. You think that our people are still docile and going to take any and everything that they lay out for us. That is not true. You got a Spitfire in the Crockett. She is a Spitfire, and she lets them know exactly what they're doing with facts. Okay.
And you know what, Bishop?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but and because I'm kind of plugged into the culture a little bit. I think there's a big misread and miscalculation of the group that is now within their 20s, not realizing. And I don't. Maybe I have to take that back. Maybe not a misread. Maybe an underestimation, because they're reading it. That's why they're making these laws, or that's why they're doing these policies, because they do see Black children and white children being brothers and sisters. They do see them TikToking together, hanging out. Of course, marrying and all these things, but and how we had one white young man who turned his own father in for the insurrection. I mean, these kids are not playing around. So having said that, I'm what can
I think I'm grabbing what you're saying, and I think we have to look at something. This millennial generation has a sense of entitlement. Okay, and that entitlement is dangerous because to them it is supposed to be a certain way.
Right.
And they do not understand that they are going to do any and everything in their power to make sure it is going to be what is supposed to be in their mind, regardless of what we tell them, back up, sit down for a while, this, that, and the other thing. No, the entitlement, the level of entitlement is going to force them. You are hurting me. See, the previous generations would endure the hurt. They would endure the shame. They would endure the pain. This generation is not going to, because you painted a picture for them of how it is supposed to be. And if it does not meet that expectation, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that it does. And that is going to hurt. That is ultimately going to hurt. And I think we've, like you said, we've underestimated them.
Right.
We're
seeing that about 10 years later, after, we're on 10 years after Freddie Gray in Baltimore.
Right.
And when you set those kids off, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, I don't think you have an answer for that. You bit off a little bit more than you can chew. I want to jump over, guys, to another topic for a second. I want to bring up the issue of, and just briefly, and we don't have to talk big about it because I think it's still yet to be seen what's going to happen. Trump, the Supreme Court told Trump that he has to bring the man from Maryland back. We talked about that before. He has to bring the man back from Venezuela. And right now, the Trump administration is kind of saying, "Oh, we don't know. They're doing the. Is he in East Venezuela? Is he in West Venezuela? Or I don't know. Maybe he's in South Korea. I don't know. They're playing that game already setting up a battle of the powers, and that is what we will consider a constitutional crisis. So without going too deep into it, because I want to see what plays out during the week, I did want to touch on that, because if he can now go against the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court does not have an army, okay? The Supreme Court does not have an enforcement mechanism technically against the executive branch. Correct me if I'm wrong. What are we going to do now? Because now we've come to the summit of what is supposed to be our structure, our very core of our governmental setup, our constitutional republic. What do we do? What's going to happen? Myneca, political analyst.
I am not. At this point right now, if he goes against what the Supreme Court does say, then that means that he believes that he is above the law.
Right.
And so if he is above the law, then he doesn't really fit into a democratic society. So now he has to determine what he is going to do. And so I believe he's going to err on the side that he's going to ignore that order from the Supreme Court. And that's going to make him do something that is against the law. He was ordered to bring it back.
Will Congress impeach him?
Huh?
Will Congress impeach him, though? He has a Republican Congress.
No, they're not going to impeach him. He's not going to be impeached. And I think at this point, we need to assure that we're preparing ourselves that we won't have a democratic government in the sense of what we have been accustomed to.
Myneca, let me ask you a question on that. Do you feel, as being, you were a mayor, former mayor, and all your politician, don't you believe, though? I mean, we have to believe there is a point that everybody refused to go beyond, because if he refuses to, I just can't believe that what is supposed to be three co-equal branches of government, the way our democracy is set up, if he goes against and ignores the Supreme Court, it has to be a point, the congressmen, the senators, and all, impeachment should be on the table, because I don't think nobody really wants to go down in history as being the one who allowed our democracy to truly fail. So I have to hold on to that little glimpse of hope that there has to be a point that some people, even the Republicans, even, in the Supreme Court, the judicial, the legislative branches, that they won't go beyond, because everybody is seeing now, it's not just a thing that he's not, mentally capable of. The man's faculties are gone. And they try to talk everything, even now after being in office, since January. Here we are in April, 3 months later almost. It'll be the 20th in another week. I mean, this man cognitively nothing is computing up here. All he knows is to try to suck up to the billionaires that he is trying to get back into their graces, and then, let everybody else eat cake, so to speak. But there has to be a point that these people are going to say, no, we can't. That's a bridge too far.
I think we're missing something, Brother Reggie, and I think Madam Mayor will agree with me. This current administration, this current president, has proven time and time again that in his mind, number one, the law doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
He is the government itself has proven that they do not hold him accountable for his misdeeds, but everybody else is going to suffer. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have to pay attention.
It has to be a moment.
And so when you have a lawless leader, a godless leader, okay, this man is trying to sell Bibles.
Right.
I heard this weekend that he claimed that he got saved, Bishop. That's what he claimed.
Oh my gosh.
But listen. Here's the thing: if we were to really look at the ministry of Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, we would find something, okay, that his mindset, and it's right there in the Gospels. You can read the Synoptic Gospels, and they're right there. But in his mind, the people are one. We all are together. We all eat equally. We all are taken care of equally. That is something that most capitalists are afraid of.
Right.
Because ultra capitalists, and I'm sorry, Brother Bishop Elliott, but you're not. You're a capitalist, but you're not an ultra capitalist.
Yeah, I got a soft side to me there.
Okay. See, the whole thing is let me let you know what we're doing. Okay, and when we talk about blood on the hands is not just Nagasaki and Hiroshima. That's not it. It's not just the smallpox on the blanket. It's about what's currently going on in the blood that we're shedding in our own homeland, where there is inequality of care and services. Now, I'm not going to say anything other than this. When you have the most massive homelessness problem in the entire world, there is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
When you have hunger on such a mass array of people, there is an issue.
Right. It's political.
And what we have to do is as the people, we have to look at the system and say, hey, listen, if you're going to have these three branches and they're supposed to be co-equal, we have to take those two branches, the judicial and
legislative,
and the legislative, and we have to put. We have to put. Otherwise, you lied to us.
Yes.
And whatever befalls. See, I don't want to see this thing come to a civil war, but I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. It is heading.
It's heading that way.
I think the problem is that they don't. I always make this point about people need to learn where the off button is. Yeah. And they keep pushing things like now. Congress is trying to totally alter the voting in America. Yeah. And now to the point that you if you're a woman, you're going to have to produce a birth certificate that matches your current name, and you may be married. Right. How square that one? So your name is Johnson, but you were born Smith, and you bring your marriage certificate where you are, and there are a lot of people who may have difficulty getting their documentation or things like that, but they have they have some form of ID. We understand some form of ID. Fair enough. But we're constantly implementing policy that cuts the people off.
Well, it individualizes them. It individualizes the situation. Mm-hmm. So when they start looking at the voter aspect of it, doing with the birth certificate and making women have to do that, knowing that 60-70% of women get married, they change their name. Mm-hmm. Birth certificate's it's not gonna match what their name is today, so it doesn't make sense. But what it does make sense is that any way to prevent women from voting, because in any case, they mostly vote, according to Rachel, I don't believe this to be true, they mostly vote Democratic, but I do know that most of them will vote whatever their husbands are voting. But there's a significant block of the population that if we stop them from voting, then that gives us an edge. The second part is that they talk about the voter, the individual, as if voter fraud is something that is widespread. And we know voter fraud is not widespread. Right. Now, what may be, according to someone I heard on the news, is election fraud. Right. Election fraud, where you're actually coercing or doing something to prevent the election process from happening. That's actually what they are doing.
Or even bribery, as Elon Musk does.
Exactly. The bribery, all of that, the campaign financing, all of that, contributes to the inequities in voting. But what we've really gotten away from is actually identifying resources and information that normal people can understand. The conservative group, they have always looked and sought out a leader. Before Donald Trump, if you remember, in 2017, it was Dr. Ben Carson in there, and he had a fairly large evangelical population that followed him. But people are looking for a leader. They want someone to take responsibility for all the things that they don't, so that they can live a better life.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna take a quick break here. We'll leave it there. We'll dig down a little deeper. I want everybody to keep an eye on those issues in the coming week, I would say, and we'll probably get a little deeper into that next week. So we'll be back after this.
In a world where convenience meets diversity, there's one marketplace that stands out from the rest. Welcome to Firecart, your ultimate destination for all things shopping. At Firecart, we believe in bringing you not just the everyday essentials, but also a curated selection of cultural and handmade products that celebrate diversity and craftsmanship from around the globe. Whether you're looking for the latest gadgets, trendy fashion pieces, or one-of-a-kind artisanal creations, Firecart has you covered. Our diverse range of products caters to every taste and preference. But that's not all. Introducing our exciting affiliate program, Firestarters, where you have the opportunity to earn money by being a Firecart seller or by referring customers through your affiliate link with generous commissions. Imagine making passive income simply by sharing products you love with your friends and followers. With Firecart, it's not just about shopping, it's about building your own success story. And here's the kicker. During our exclusive launch period, you can take advantage of discounted pricing and special perks available only to our founding members. So why wait? Join the Firecart revolution today and experience shopping like never before. Firecart, where every purchase ignites a world of opportunity. For more information, visit firecart.shop. Your journey to endless possibilities starts now.
That's a great program.
Firecart is a subsidiary of Diadem Technologies, and we would love for you to join in on the Firecart Revolution, where we have some wonderful vendors coming on board, and we're also making a lot of inroads into unique products that you may not find on other marketplaces. And in this hour of Tariffs On, Tariffs Off, you'll find a lot of people who are domestic that can actually do custom types of items for you. And also we have some burgeoning authors that are coming on the platform. So check out Firecart, and we look forward to you guys helping it grow. Actually, we are cleared our almost final hurdle on the full trademark of Firecart. So we're almost done over that part as well. So we're pleased to report that. All right, guys. Well, I want to take a little turn a little bit in society, a little bit. And I just had a question today because we just saw Jeff Bezos. He basically is singing "Don't You Forget About Me." Remember that song? And he has his own rockets too. And he's a little different than Elon. He has this big tour bus in the sky. So he just completed a successful launch and return of a Blue Origin journey, which included some like Katy Perry, Jeff Bezos's fiance, and Gayle King, and Aisha. I think it's Aisha Taylor. So, yeah, and all women crew, and I'm glad they were able to go and come back safely. And it just caused me to ask the question, and I'm not being negative or overly positive on either way. It's just a question. Like you said, Bishop, I am a capitalist, so I believe, if you make money, you should enjoy what money brings you. So some may have more than others. So they get to do more than others. That's what money does. But at the same time, like you said, I'm not an ultra capitalist. So, my heart had to ask the question, is this appropriate for the hour, or is it tone deaf while we are going through the things we're going through? I'm leaving the floor open. Who wants to take that one? Is that a tone deaf of the ultra wealthy? Is that a tone deaf move of the ultra wealthy, or no harm, no foul? What do you have to say?
I don't know if it's really a tone an ultra wealth. I mean, obviously you have to have a certain amount of money to be able to do something like that. I mean, a normal person going in space probably have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to be a part of that crew, or maybe even more. And I thought it was a publicity stunt. And I didn't think it was an effective publicity stunt, though.
Okay.
I mean, I saw a lot of the Instagram where the women were preparing, where the women were trying on the suits, which were very nice suits, by the way.
Okay.
And getting ready to go and photo shoot, so on and so forth. I think it was a campaign to really promote Jeff Bezos. And I think it was one that didn't really do a good job of that.
Jeff Bezos, another shameless promoter. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so the whole story from beginning to end just did not feel authentic. And I applaud the women for, being able to do something once in a lifetime, and most people are not going to be able to do that. Nor do I believe that most people want to do that.
And some just flat out should not do it.
And just with all the chaos going on in Washington, D.C. too, I just thought the timing was inappropriate. And I think if it were made to make people feel good, that the campaign failed. That's my opinion. I think people felt more happier with Obama getting into the shot of the two little kids while they were getting photographed at Cherry Great Festival, on the water.
At the mall, yeah.
At the wall. than that whole campaign. So
the crazy part,
that's my opinion on it.
But see, therein lies the problem with the ultra conservative, super rich. I mean, okay, so
Right.
you have money, and like I said, I'm guilty of being one of the people who support Jeff Bezos because I ordered quite a bit of stuff from Amazon. My daughter and I think the people know our names personally. But to see somebody willing to spend now that, according to the news, that little 20 minutes of riding is like going to an amusement park and taking a ride.
Mm-hmm.
It costs almost $100 million. For what? I mean, when you have people who, like you said, who would want to even partake in something like that? When you have more than 50% of the people in our country now have lost money in their 401ks, have lost money on the stock market, have lost their homes. 50% of the country, like I said, is underwater. We still have all these. I mean, we just saw, Los Angeles burn down. And this is how these people who have acquired so much money off of the support of the other Americans, this is what you decide to do. And like you said, it was not even a publicity stunt that failed. It was really a dud. I didn't understand it the last time when Elon Musk said to one of it, "You're going to do all this just for 15 minutes to go to the edge of space, just to be able to say, oh, we did it," And like I said, now I'm sure for the rest of the week, each of the ladies will be on different news networks and things like that, talking about their trip to the outer space when they just went to the edge of space. I'm just sick of capitalism. I'm like you. Yeah, I do agree. I have no problem with people having money. We need money to sustain us.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do have a problem with when we blatantly just let people see we just really don't give a damn about them. And that's what this shows when you got people out here, like you said, sleeping under bridges and everything else. That the price of that trip could have eliminated poverty or at least homelessness in this whole country. But yet we would just want to go up for 15 minutes up and come right back down and then think we've done something. Something has to happen. And like I said, I just hope I'll be able to continue being on the podcast. Because Reggie, I'm telling you, Bishop, I need y'all maybe you need to kindly come let you lay hands on me. Because I'm like Malcolm X now, by any means necessary. And I'm so, like I said, in all my vehicles, I have dash cams because it's not going to take much for me to go, over that edge. Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. It's crazy that we are just allowing this to happen. And then, alluding talent into what you previously said, Brother Darrell. I mean, and just know that somebody who's not even an American citizen can wreak so much havoc on the American citizens. Mm-hmm. Here, this man is not even a citizen of this country. But yet and still, like I said, with the Social Security, with the tariffs and everything else, I mean, something has to happen. And I'm trusting my grandmother said, he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. So,
well, see, I think that I think that Bezos has to do something. I think I'm the more I think about it, to what Myneca said, the more it seems to be a very, very good point, because Elon is cornering the government contracts.
Yes.
By virtue of his proximity to the White House now. And where does that leave Bezos other than giving tours? I mean, what else? I know he's very wealthy, but running a space program, the last time I checked, can be very, very expensive. And without those government contracts, you can't do the exploration that is normally reserved for NASA, and now you got SpaceX. So Bezos has to do something, and I guess now he's just running a tour bus in the sky, like I said, and I think that to you saying it's a publicity stunt, it sounds pretty accurate. You know, you know, I'll bring out this part, Bishop. I'll throw it to you. Jesus did say you'll have the poor with you always. I think we figured out why, because the rich ain't giving them nothing.
I mean, the reality is, there's a story about Lazarus and the rich man.
Right.
Lazarus would sit outside and beg, and the rich man wouldn't even give him the crumbs that fell off of his table. He'd rather give them to the dogs.
Exactly.
It came to pass that both Lazarus and the rich man died.
Yes.
Lazarus wound up in Abraham's bosom. And the rich man wound up in Sheol, or hell. The Lord stood there. The rich man said, Lord, have Lazarus dip his finger.
Yes.
And bring me a cool drink.
One more time. Yes. Dip your
The
finger.
Lord said, I cannot, because behold, there is a great gulf between you. Lazarus was sitting in a paradise that was prepared for those who yet and still waited upon and believed in the Messiah. And the rich man wound up in a place of utter damnation. The rich man said to the Lord, go and tell my brothers so that they do not wind up like I do. And the Lord said, no, behold, they have Moses and the prophets. If they haven't listened to them, what makes you think they're going to listen to me? We find ourselves in this very situation where when you are sitting on millions and millions and billions of dollars, and you know, you make a $100,000 contribution out of the abundance you just saw a couple of years ago in Hawaii with the Hawaiian fires.
Exactly. Right.
That's nothing.
Absolutely.
That is nothing. So we have to understand that people rely upon people, not only for those who make money, but they also have to understand where their money actually came from.
Yes, yes, yes.
Money did not come from the product or the service, but it came from the people who bought that product or service. And you do have a responsibility to them. Not only that the product will work and do what it says it's going to do, but also ultimately that the product will not harm them. Today we see that which they're selling is creating harm. The begs for crumbs are having deaf ears turned to them. And I think as a nation, we want to talk about all the benevolence we do, benevolence, not malevolence, benevolence that we do throughout the world. But that benevolence has contingencies upon it. In the meantime, the benevolent reality of who this nation is and is becoming is evident within its own people. Walk in the streets. See what is going on. Yes, the Lord said, you will have the poor with you always. But what is our duty and responsibility to the poor?
Mm-hmm.
Did the Lord not ask, when I was hungry, did you not feed me?
Yes.
Or when I was naked, did you not clothe me? Or when I was in prison? And that goes with, when I was homeless, did you not house me?
Yes.
We've got some issues here. And I think that the premise of we need to take care of Americans first sounds good on paper, but until it reaches into the streets and all of the people are taken care of, then it's just a waste of words.
You know, I look at the vastness of the landmass of the United States versus population, and we have a lot of land that could be utilized for, like I said this in a prior episode, we have plenty of land that we can put tiny houses on, and it will be spread out throughout the country, and it wouldn't even disturb people's way of life in the suburbs or in the metropolitan areas, and you can still house and feed people within decent proximity of getting to a store, a gas station, the basic necessities of life. And it just seems that we as a collective society refuse to do it. You know, Myneca, you and I live up here in a vast land area, and you too, Bishop, you live in Kentucky, which is a big state and I once lived there with vast land. We have plenty of land that we can be able to house people with just the money from the 1%ers, and they still be mega rich if we just decided to do so. Would you all agree with that?
I agree.
Most definitely.
If that's what we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
But, you know, one of the things that cracked me up is a couple of years ago, a couple of my colleagues and myself, we were looking at where we could buy massive land.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about, 10, 50, 100 acres. I'm talking about thousands of pounds, thousands of acres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the mega rich are buying up millions of acres right now.
Exactly.
Yes. And if we really look, when we looked and we did a survey, there is enough land on the western side of Texas to put in 8 mega cities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because
Wyoming,
the West is still very wide. Yes.
Wyoming, Oregon, there's mass land available. The problem with this society is we like to talk about what's good, but when it comes to action, we fail.
And you know that they are opting to utilize that land to set up data centers more than being able to solve the problems of people. They're using it for quantum computing, mega computing, and things like that they feel that there's a better use to do so in some places where why don't you think, and I'm just saying this with the balance of who I am, why don't you think of both? I mean, you can actually house the people and still build your mega computer. I mean, that is actually possible.
Let's not only house them, but let's train them.
Right. Yeah,
exactly. Then there's a whole issue with veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay. Who have served this country and come back, The last, and they weren't even wars, really. They were campaigns. The amount of people that came back with PTSD.
Yes.
And not only physical, but psychological, because they run together.
Mm-hmm.
Services are not available to them. And they put their life on the line.
Yeah.
You know, when are we going to be responsible?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and really, you know, if we're going to say we're world leaders and this, that, and the other thing, and I'm taking myself out of just being black, so excuse the red, black, and green for a second. You can make it red, white, and blue today. If we're going to say that we're the leaders of the world, then we have to lead the world in all things.
In all things.
Right.
And I think that's where we fall short. Okay. But if we really do a background check, if we really look at the data center and go into the background and see all of the dirt, all of the indictments, all of the misdeeds, all of the treachery that we have done in the name of capitalism, the average person would be ashamed.
Exactly.
They have no moral compass.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder at this point, if this is what we believe about capitalists, is there a reason why people decided that they wanted to have someone else in charge instead?
That's a good point. And you know, because if we feel I as a capitalist and business person feel that government should not be run like a business. It's the government's mission is entirely different from a business, and its charge is entirely separate from what a business is. And I don't think you should choose a self-interested businessman to ever run government, because I feel strongly that you should have a public servant who runs government, and they may be advised by business people, because business people know what's going on the ground of society more so. But them being the decision makers, no, I don't think you should ever have the self-interested business person. You know, I being a self-interested business person, I would, and who deals with them on a 24/7 basis, I would not recommend any one of my friends to ever run for president. So I mean, I don't think the two should ever be really considered in the same realm. The other and I thought about this. I don't live. You and I, Myneca, we're not very far from 3 Mile Island.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I used to work at the building that was directly across from where across the Susquehanna, across that bridge. From there, and because we were so close to TMI, we had a radiation pill. Everyone was assigned a radiation pill in the building, and you know, we had to keep it under lock and key and file, you know, just in case something went out. Even though the reactors, they haven't really utilized 3 Mile Island in the past 4 or 5 years.
Well,
at the time I was there, they were.
It's been bought, and guess who bought it? Microsoft.
Oh, geez.
Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
Microsoft is going to use 3 Mile Island to power their data.
Okay. So they're going to use the nuclear energy, because I think they have like one reactor that's operative.
Yes, they plan on. They plan on taking over 3 Mile Island to run their new quantum computing. To my point, now I have two sides of this thought. One, 3 Mile Island was shut down a couple years ago. and there was no thought of it being utilized, they were going to totally decommission it.
Exactly.
But in comes Microsoft, and Microsoft is now saying, "Oh, wait a minute! Now we can use that." And so they put now for our younger listeners, I have to explain what 3 Mile Island is. 3 Mile Island is the place where we had basically a nuclear meltdown. And it was so worrying,
severe and all
that they had to power it down. It's been running on low capacity since, and this is in 1979. And if anyone understands nuclear radiation, it lasts for decades, if not centuries. So that's where we had America's biggest nuclear scare. So for those of you all who don't know what 3 Mile Island is, it's the one nuclear power plant that ended up having a problem in the United States. And yes, and I've been past 3 Mile Island quite a few times, praying I'd get out without glowing, because they did a special on 3 Mile Island. I do recommend that people try to check it out on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there, but they did a special on the community and the people in 3 Mile in the area and the different problems that the people have had.
Cancer.
The town in the area.
Yeah.
But to that point, here we are where the choice was made in the name of capitalism, quantum computing in that specific one, that they're choosing they see a use for the nuclear plant. And I must say, I'm honestly torn, because one, the nuclear plant, you can't just tear it down because nuclear waste. It's complicated to be able to deal with that. So maybe it is a noble thing or a good thing that they can repurpose it, because what else can you do with it?
That's true.
Yeah, to do that instead of taking land from somewhere else and doing something. But I must say that I am torn about that, for a multitude of reasons, because with something like that, if it failed once, I'm not sure about second chances. So yeah. And I know the technology is way different. We're supposed to have had just built the first nuclear plant, which is well, they did say this about the Titanic. they said that it would never have a meltdown. But we know the technology is a lot different today than it was in 1979 when that happened. But I must say I'm torn about the issue. But to the point of people and their needs being met, could we have waited a little longer and maybe fed some of because we do have a homelessness problem up here in Pennsylvania. The last time I checked, between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, there's plenty of homelessness. And that includes the rural areas. So I don't know.
Well, Myneca said something. Go ahead, Bishop.
Go ahead, Brother Reggie.
No. I was just saying, Myneca said something. The whole thing boils down to, we do what we want to do. And and lining up with what Bishop said, until these ultra-rich people have some type of life-jarring experience that makes them have more of a moral compass towards humanity, nothing can be done. Because like I said, with the stroke of a pen, like I said, they can wipe out homelessness in this whole nation. It can be eradicated just like this. And like I said, I've done the research too, on, these little small homes they can build. They can build communities of homes that are just, something like 200 square feet just for shelter, kitchen, bedroom, and a little dining area, living area and stuff like that. That these people can go and at least have their own bathroom where they can wash up, be clean. We don't know what to do. And something, like I said, has to happen mentally in the hearts of these people until we get away from this greed factor, because everyone who's has a few million are trying to get more millions. Like they said, the more we get, the more we want and settle for less. But when you get to that stratosphere of ultra rich and things like that, when you eclipse the billionaire status legitimately quite a few times over, there has to be something in you more sooner, hopefully, than later, that will want you to reach back and try to help somebody. Because at the end of the day, they can't take it with them. So it's like every one of us gonna, hear in the sweet by and by one day. So I just can't wrap my brain around what is it gonna take? Like I said, when is enough gonna be enough that we'll be willing to, especially with our veterans, no veteran should ever have to be homeless. But yet they've said more than 60-70% of homeless people have served in the military.
Right.
So something has to give. Something has to give.
But they are very much for the veterans. Is that what they said? I thought that's why. That's what I thought.
The bad part is a lot of those veterans have some mental issues,
right?
That society and the psychological medical arena are not ready to deal with. So what they do is they turn a blind eye.
Right.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to be very, very blunt, and there's a thing called humanity.
Yes.
And a country that does not enforce its humanity is counterproductive and against the principles of all three major religions. I'm not going to, even though I'm Christian, I'm not going to, all three major religions. We're supposed to take care. Go back in the book of Daniel, and you see how, because the king was benevolent and took care of his people, he prospered.
He prospered, exactly.
Okay, I don't think we really understand our responsibility to the brotherhood of man.
You know why I think Bishop, I think because we are a society now that has succumbed to narcissism, period. I think that we have promoted narcissism as going back to as recent as the movie Wall Street. Greed is good.
Right.
And I think that coming out of that Reagan era, all of those things are the result. We're kind of reaping that now. That seed has grown up into a narcissistic society. Because I don't blame Donald Trump for being who he is. He's merely the symptom to the illness. That he's the avatar for the rest, for the country as a whole, and for what we have become, because we have worshipped our own prosperity, we worshipped our own safety, and all of those things. Would you say so?
I would agree with you, but there comes a time where a wake-up call has to happen.
Yes.
And we're talking about how our own allies are now against us, all because of this ridiculousness. There comes a time when somebody tells you your fly is open, you're exposing yourself, and you don't listen and take the time to look down and zip yourself up. Something is wrong. And so we're gonna have to
reach in now, right? We're gonna have to somehow press that reset button, though, right? I mean,
how
is that reset button going to be? How is that reset button going to be pressed? Like, what's the wake up? Do we have to get to a wake up call? Because wake up calls tend to be very unpleasant.
I think we're headed to the wake up call now.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're headed there now. It's not just mess around and find out. And so here we are. We're working within a system that has always been broken and lopsided.
Right.
It has only worked for those who it was created for. Every time they tried to add, us in and others in, it has failed and failed and failed and failed even more so miserably than it already has. So the reality is that if you're going to take the premise of the Constitution, okay, and it's supposed to be for all people, then dagnabbit, it has to be for all people. You cannot have classism. You cannot have, these social constructs because you're upper echelon financially. This doesn't apply to you. You can't do that. But see, that's going to be the wake-up call. Is we're going to have to come to the reality that the system only works for who it was designed to work for. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to change that system has to be torn down completely.
Absolutely.
So how do we tear it down? And I'm pressing this question as a solutions person.
God is tearing it down even as we speak.
Okay.
Down.
Right. Because if it's to be torn down, to be torn down, which I don't disagree with, by the way, but it's just my solution brain thinking. If it's to be torn down, as we say in the podcast, what now in the interim? What's the survival mechanism and the survival rate while we have to transition? Because there's going to be collateral damage and all of that. And I don't know if it's going to be the rich people that are going to be the collateral damage.
Well, no, the poor are ultimately the ones that suffer the most. But as a people, here's what I'm going to say. Unless and until we repent and remove ourselves from the ways of our oppressors,
right,
we are going to suffer the same fate. We've got to realize who we are, how special we are in the eyes of God.
Yes.
And we have to learn how to stand on that. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Will there be hunger? Yes. Will there be nakedness? Yes. Will there be homelessness? Yes. But ultimately, unless and until we collectively come to an understanding of who we are and what we mean to each other and to the one who created us.
Right.
Until we do that, we are going to suffer under the tyranny of others. We need to look and see what's going on in our motherland. They are tired of the oppressors.
Exactly.
That whole Mali region is unifying. Ghana has left ECOWAS and joined in with them. Ethiopia is getting ready to go in with them if they haven't already. And so on a global level, see, this is what they're doing. They're finally realizing who the oppressor is.
Right.
These are people who are being forced to do trade in a currency that is not their own. To put their money in a bank that they do not control, and then take high interest loans against what their own money.
Their own money.
We've got to pay attention to what's going on. See, until we wake up and understand that we are the ones who are ultimately responsible for ourselves, separate and apart from them.
Mm-hmm.
Because their job is the job of their father, to steal, kill, and destroy.
Right.
I don't care what anybody has to say. That is their history.
Mm-hmm.
They have proven that time and time and time again. A leopard does not change its spots, period. But we have to return. We have to understand who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We have to repent. And we have to understand that we are not our own enemy.
I think to some degree on the high level of it all, we need enough of the thinkers, leaders that are good at implementing a system, and knowing how to migrate our people to that system successfully, and have integrous governance within that system, so that it can stand, and almost that it has its own constitutionality to it, even if it's not a separate sovereign nation. That there's enough of an alliance, and let me give you a parallel to that. Cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a shadow currency. It's an alternate currency that has been created by the technocrat society, and found a way to transfer wealth from the banking system to another system by which you can trade globally, and I might add, off books. So the thing is that we see that it's possible. The only question is, as it always is, I don't want y'all to answer it this week. We'll answer it next week. The only question is, will they do to that what they did to Black Wall Street? So don't answer. I've got to go to the break, but I want y'all to think on that one, because that is a conversation to be had, because we did it before. But we always found ourselves at this discussion again. So I want y'all to hold on that. We're going to go to a break, and we're going to go to our last segment. Is that all right?
Okay.
All right. Hold on.
Introducing our Small Business Make More Save More package from Payments Factory. Increase your business revenue by offering your customers more options of when and how to pay. Surveys show that 35% of small business customers are interested in paying by text to their phone. That number almost doubles to 62% of people under the age of 35 who prefer to pay by text message. Our Make More Save More package allows you to send payment requests to your customers via text message and email, all while eliminating complex credit card processing fees with this simplified program. In addition, you have access to next-day funding, real-time reporting of all transactions and payments, and 24/7 access to your online merchant portal and statements. Our free terminal program is available to merchants that meet certain qualifications and would like to take in-person payments via chip cards and contactless payments, such as Google Pay and Apple Pay. Act now to also receive a $25 dining certificate redeemable for 6 months worth of digital savings coupons at your favorite chain restaurants, or $25 certificate to visit and support a local favorite restaurant. Speak to a representative today to see how Payments Factory can help you increase your bottom line. Schedule an appointment to learn more about this program and how we can help your small business to make more and save more today.
Payments Factory is a subsidiary of Diadem Technologies, and we have wonderful payment experts that can help you be able to make more, save more with your business. If you are a merchant and you need different forms of payment, please contact us. We will be glad to help you. All right, guys, I want to shift to one last thing here on the discussion board, and we certainly have plenty to pick up next week, but a little bit on the societal side, a little bit on the culture. We had a few things that happened. We have Kanye. He's having another flare up. So for those of you who don't know, Kanye has been ranting against everyone from Beyonce to Taylor Swift, and it is prompting Taylor to get her lawyers involved, and also Travis, her boo, who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, said, "You're gonna have to run up across me one day in these streets." So we're getting to that, and he is a pretty big guy. If you have,
yeah.
And then in the gospel streets, Reggie, Pastor Leandria Johnson has been going through a little something these past few months. She's been arrested back to, I think, around December, January, because she was been
and again in March.
Oh wow! And again in March, and because she's had battles, publicly known battles with her addiction, substance abuse, and so she's been catching charges that are related to that. And then you said that she had a flare up with Bishop Marvin Winans.
Yes.
And so, Reggie, I'm going to let you lead us in on that part with
life. Things get to a point that I take great. It grieves me to see the so-called body of Christ, and I know Bishop can stand with me on this. We're supposed to be the light in this world of darkness. We're supposed to be the ones that are trying to lead people to, the promised land of Jesus Christ, Yahshua, and being, able to have the gift of eternal life. But everywhere you look, it's just going crazy within the body of Christ, with our churches, the denominations. But this situation with Pastor, and that's I say that with, I can't say it without laughing, because like
very
I said,
very loosely.
Right, exactly. I'm not one who ever questions. If you tell me God called you, I'm gonna say good. I think some of it was call waiting. He was trying to reach somebody else and call forwarding. But to see that she, her Leandria is beloved by so many people, and everybody I know, and every conversation I have with my cohorts within the industry, everyone is concerned, because like I said, I'm so personally afraid she's on the same road of destruction like Whitney, and she's past the show me the receipts moment, and she's just coming after people because of her state of being, because of the addiction. But to be so public with it, I mean, she's like the president. In the middle of the night, she's making these videos, and she has to know, I'm beyond being concerned about the people who are surrounding her, because obviously they have no regard for her at all, because they still allowing her to have access to some of these things. But to put out this latest video attack Bishop Marvin Winans, I don't see how it's going to help her career. I don't see how it's going to in any way gain any more empathy or sympathy for her. It gets to the point that people say, look, enough is enough. We can't go down this road with her. And somebody within her, close assembly of gathering of friends and family, because she's alienated family as well. Somebody has to get her to get some help, because Bishop Winans is not going to just take this line down. He is definitely going to clap back. And I mean, because some of the things she said, and I hope everybody can pull up the video and see it, because I mean, she cut deep. She accused him of having the children out of wedlock. She accused him of abusing Vicky Winans. She accused him of being a criminal, and she just put it out there. And there is such a thing called slander and decimation of somebody's character that can be very costly. And Bishop has some very good lawyers. And so, like I that I'm just at a loss. And Bishop Chase, maybe you can, give us some type of. I mean, I'm in my word every day trying to find something that I can slip to her to, try to help her to overcome this fog, that she's walking around in a fog, but to be so public with it now. And now everybody is circling the wagons. And naturally you have people who's going to defend Bishop Winans, just like you have some people trying to support her. So, but we're at that crossroad now that unless some help comes very soon, I think this is going to end up very bad. Like you were saying, that Kelsey told Kanye, things can happen and have happened even in the Christian community that leads people to be spending the rest of their lives in jail. We have quite a few pastors I personally know are in jail for the next 50 years for the same type of foolishness, because some people think they're just untouchable. So, I'm beyond just praying. Just, some things require more than just prayer.
And I'm thinking about the mental health of celebrities now seeping into the greater society. So we have this case, which is in the church world. Those who are watching that may not be in the church world, may not be familiar with Andria and Bishop Winans, but they're amongst the top known gospel artists, and it's permeated through the church. But then you also have people like Wendy Williams, who has been going through the things that she has gone through, and now I think she's out of the conservatorship, or some modification has taken place, knowing how the celebrity world a lot of them feel that this is payback. People like to call it karma, but they feel it's payback for all of her sins against the celebrity world when she was a shock jock. And then you have Kanye, who, God knows I think he's the apex offender of all. And then there are questions as to the abuse of his wife, the things that he has her to do in public, and her family it's been said that her family is really trying to get her away from him, and the greater effect of celebrity and the mental health issues that they are going through, but because they have either they have money or a microphone or both. It's spilling out into our society.
Let me just say this though. I'm not saying some people are untouchable. And there was some movie, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a line in it that says, if you're going to shoot at the king, you better not miss. The Winans as a family are considered royalty.
They're at the top.
Winans, they are royalty in the kingdom of recording artists, ministry and all that type of thing.
They've helped it very well as a family. I mean,
absolutely.
To stand up for that, and to the Vicky Winans part of it, just to give some people background. Vicky and Marvin did divorce, but Vicky has also been restored to the church.
To the church, exactly.
So Vicky and he did a public restoration of them. And Vicky got up and spoke, and there's a full reconciliation, and she is funny as I don't know what. So
that was funny.
But that fence has been mended, so there should be no words said about that. That should be a mind your business moment, I would say.
Yeah, well, see, Vicky, that's my girl. Now, Vicky is my girl. That's my girl. We quite a few things together. That's my girl. That's my sister. That's my big sister. Vicky, like I said, even going through the process of reconciliation, she still cracked on him, because she told everybody sitting there, and she says, well, if he had treated me better, I would still be married to him. And the new wife sitting right there.
Right. Yeah.
Like 95, 96. I mean, they stayed together for about 17 years, I think it was. I know they divorced in about 96, 97, somewhere.
Right. Yep. Because not too
it's
far about that, I was doing remixes when she was involved and things.
Right, exactly. But
so I would say, let me get Bishop and Myneca into this one, because when we're talking about this stuff going on here, I see it not from a gossip standpoint. I just don't see it from a gossip standpoint. I see it from an impact standpoint, because let's be real. We love our celebrities. Okay. Yes. Whether good or bad, America. I won't make it a black thing. I would say America, because America hired a celebrity to become president, and we will throw him into the mental health bucket also. Okay.
No. Nobody considers him a celebrity. Nobody in Hollywood even likes him.
He took the crowbar and
exactly. He's trying to fit in.
He's like, I'm coming in.
I mean, just from doing The Apprentice, he didn't get his SAG card because the people refused to accept him. He had all of those episodes and still didn't qualify to get his SAG card. So that right there shows you that you saw during the last election.
But in all fairness, he was the most cited millionaire at the time in rappers' raps. He was the most mentioned. He has a ton of cameos in movies
because he knows how to manipulate.
He's a master marketer.
Yeah,
exactly. He knows how to market
himself.
But he's been a showman. Like I said, my granddaughter just went to the circus, yesterday, Saturday, one of those days. He is, like I said, P.T. Barnum. He knows how to squeeze. A sucker is born every day.
We had a term for that. We called him a promosexual, self-promotion.
I like that. He has just mastered, the ability to just market himself. But he is the most despised entity. I won't call him a celebrity. I won't call him anything but a grifter, because that's all he really is. And I believe, I'm trusting God that we will live long enough to see, his demise. And
don't worry, it will be televised, and it will be
televised. And I'm telling you, when that day comes, it's like the blinders will be. I don't understand, like I said, why people are so afraid of the man. He's the biggest chump ever. I mean, the man got 7 deferments, because, and like I said, nobody in his whole family for 150 years have ever served this country.
But see, the thing is though it seems like the people with a lot. This is not a blanket statement, but it seems like so many people with mental health issues are at the forefront of the camera and microphone, and they are at the forefront of influence. So I want to ask that to Bishop and Myneca. I mean, what should we have, or what's the perspective that the people need to have while all this stuff is going on? And you can't turn it off. It's always in front of you, no matter where you go.
Well, I think that we have been given enough information about things to look for. But when it comes to this particular individual, the majority of the country does not want to acknowledge.
Exactly. Oh,
almost like it doesn't exist.
Right.
So here we are, seeing we have a narcissist, number one. Number two is we've got somebody who is so unstable. What does the scripture say? A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. This man has filed for bankruptcy several times. all of his businesses have failed. His university failed.
Everything.
And we, not we, there are some of us too, but as a country, we believe that this is the man that's going to lead us.
But it's not just him,
doesn't have
it's all these other people. Right? Like
he doesn't have a vital success story, and everything is based on what he portrays himself to be rather than what it actually is. So here we are. I was taught when you look at an orange, you don't call it an apple.
But yeah, but Bishop, it's not just him. It's like we said, Kanye became a billionaire because of his deal with Adidas, right? And Leandra, she's the one that ended up winning. She ended up winning Sunday's Best, which gave her this platform. Yeah. It's like they find their way to the front of the line, or to the top, or to the brightest lights. I mean, what does that either? What does that say about us, or what can we do about it? Because it's not giving us enough examples of what we should be. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, I mean, in that entire industry, that entertainment industry, they're in order to make it, you're not supposed to help your own people. Mm-hmm. You tell me one celebrity, and there's one who is a billionaire, and she talks a good story, but she can do a lot.
Yes.
Does she do it?
Yes.
Does she do it? So here is the problem. Is that people, and this, I'm going to go back to what he had, the current seated president said, is, that these people are stupid.
Yes.
He was talking about a particular and specific party, political party, but I'm talking about in general. People are stupid. They don't use the ability of thought. They don't weigh things out. Mm-hmm. They don't see where they are being manipulated. Okay, and those who follow along, most people are followers. Mm-hmm. And anybody who yells the loudest has, look at what we're doing. Most people will follow that. And ultimately, when you follow people like that, you get to a place called a cliff.
Oh, yes.
And you're going to go over.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
We have had several very, very wise men who were grassroots people who told us to be careful over this past century and a half. Mm-hmm. And as a people, we are still not listening.
Still not.
We bought into the entertainment portion, the social media aspect and all that, and we think it's funny. But lives are at stake.
Right.
Okay? And the life you save might be your own.
Might be your own. Might be your own.
So we have to stop following after stupidity, after the things and the rudiments of this world. And we have to learn how to weigh. See, the scripture tells us to try the spirit by the spirit.
By the spirit, right.
And the spirit here in this nation has proven to be in opposition to that which we would call holy.
Yes.
That which we would call righteous. So we as a nation are going to suffer the consequences thereof.
Yeah, because our focus is in the look at me culture. One of my favorite plays, hands down, is Chicago, because Chicago was all about telling you it didn't matter. It was all about headlines, and they were all fighting to get the headline. And we live in an attention culture. Myneca, I want to hear what you got to say on this one.
Well, I just think it's just fighting for the fame. I don't know if this is reminiscent of something new or if this is something that we've always fought for. But I know for at least for the past 40 years that we've been kind of going down this, road in which, we value material things over relationships with people. We value perception over integrity and realism. We tend to value someone who has confidence versus the quietest person in the room that may have the answer to everything. They just don't speak.
Right.
So, if you look at our workplaces, if you look at the politics that are interplaying in our in our organizations, in our churches, in our sororities, and all of the such, do you really think that we have the best leaders at any aspect of that that is running any of these organizations that we belong to? And the answer is possibly not.
So we've lowered the bar.
Yeah, how we envision success and how we envision someone that we need to have in front of us leading is strictly based on perception. We're not looking at all of the things that we used to look at in people, like the embodiment of their humanity. We're not looking at any of that anymore.
But you know what I'm thinking? I remember a time when a public figure could be a mess, but they made sure they did as much as possible to keep that from being public. I mean, having been in that, having been, first in the entertainment world and then subsequently ministry and business, we know about the art of compartmentalization. Now everything is a reality show. I mean, everything is. I know we have social media.
Social media, I think, has a lot to do with it.
It does. It does. It first started with reality TV and then social media. But still, is there a breaking point to the reward system that this is obviously, pushing? It seems to be your life being a mess is a plus, instead of
some people. It absolutely humanizes some people, honestly, when people are a mess. So this lady, she'll come back in a while, like, oh, I was messed up, and go to treatment, and and she'll be back on her way. But that's why we don't really know exactly if she was in some sort of state when she had this conversation. You said, and then people are saying that she's been going off on a lot of people as well. Her inner circle does need to.
Wasn't in her right mind when she did the video. See her eyes, she totally bombed out. Her eyes are off. Her speech is slurred, and I mean, it's just sad to see it. It's just so sad to see somebody who you really have shown some love and cared for and tried to help. I mean, it's just sad to see it. I mean, this is someone from day one we saw, when she came in, and now to see how she's evolved to this place. And, like I said, unfortunately, some people are calling it being blackballed, but she's doing it to herself. I mean, she's really doing it to herself, because no one, unfortunately, living in this narcissistic society that we're in, no one wants to be associated with somebody who's struggling. Everybody like you said, they want to see the recovery. They want to see the triumph, and maybe she'll do a new album saying how she's overcome this and overcome that. But it's reached a point now that even the ones who tried to be the closest are pulling back, because every time, you extend, of olive branch or a helping hand, she just goes in a little deeper. I mean, it's like she feels that's her calling. She's even said that her calling is to expose everybody else. But in the process, like the scripture says, Bishop, she can see the mote in everybody, beam in everybody else, but not the little mote in her own eye. So
But
that's the state of mental illness.
That's not you're not reporting anything at that point. You're just being messy.
Exactly.
And I would say, just to put a button on this, I would say we need to choose our heroes more wisely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she's talented, and then that's it. We don't know what her state of mind was,
exactly.
To get to that point. Because, when you have mental illness, that's not something that just usually comes about. It's usually something you've already had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and to the Kanye of it all, he's in a position that he still has a lot of money, even though he lost the Adidas deal, he still is worth $500 million, I think. And
but money does run out. And
it can run out. It's not an infinite measure.
Right. People can pull the plug on you, and he's another one. Both of them are in the same boat, because even people who loved and cared for you, you get to a point, like you said, that you pull the plug. And even alluding to what you said with the family of his new wife. See, well, I can't have much empathy for her, because she knew what she was getting. I mean, she went in the door without blinders. She knew, what he'd just gone through with Kim and all that type of thing. So, she had some little, Lawson in her own heart, because she just wanted the notoriety of being the new missus. And so, like I said, you pay the cost. I heard old preachers say that, it'll take you, how did he put it? He said it'll put you in a position, cost you more than you want to pay, keep you longer than you want to stay. And that's what it is now. And that's what all of them are. I mean, you might think it looks good from the outside, but when you get on the inside and realize, look what it's costing you. Because like I said, you can't have empathy for somebody who goes in it, with, their own loss in their own heart. So
yeah, haven't been in that world. I have a lot of empathy for artists, but at the same time, I have that other side to me that tells the artist, you need to get yourself together.
They know what they signed up for.
Because you can't be out there like that and think that you can leave a trail of destruction and not think that it's gonna reap some type of harvest against you. So I think we should, of course, we should pray for our artists. Yeah. We should all hope that they have somebody that can help them to make better choices and to hold up a better example.
Okay, guys. Before next week, everybody pull up the video of Terrence Howard, because he's going down a whole nother rabbit hole.
Oh yeah,
dealing with
he's been beef. Yeah,
so that video.
Yeah. He's been beefing with Neil deGrasse Tyson about his science and oh my
Terrence
goodness.
Howard.
Yes.
Terrence is rich.
Who is messing with Neil deGrasse?
You gotta pull it up, because he's
gosh. If I can pull the video from Neil deGrasse addressing it,
crazy.
I will definitely bring that to another. We might have to have a segment on all of this stuff. So, but no, I appreciate it. Well, guys, I appreciate this. I'm just glad that we could get a chance to have this discussion today. Everybody, make sure you hit that like,
Yes, please, please.
We're hearing some good things from out there, so we appreciate that you do appreciate us, and we want to love you back. So please hit that like and subscribe, and make sure you share these videos with
please
all those who know you. Say that again.
I was just saying, please make sure you share it. I mean, we have some interesting topics and interesting conversations, so join on in with us.
Yes. So while we're gonna try and keep Reggie out of jail, we're gonna try and keep me and Myneca from glowing, and we're gonna try and keep Bishop from being defrauded. So we got a lot of work to do around here. So we're really thankful for you guys just supporting us, and keep on and tell somebody. And until next time, we'll catch you then. Take care.
Okay. Thank you.
Bless it.
Bye, everybody.
Peace out.